Is there any hope if you've bitten off more spice than you can chew? Well, we're going to find out today. We're going to look at the 5 most common reliefs from spicy things, milk, ice cream, etc., and see, do they really work? So for today, we're going to be using Dr. Labareda's oil sauce. This is a Carolina Reaper powder-based oil. They use sunflower oil for the oil itself, but a little garlic and some flavors in it. But otherwise, it's a Carolina Reaper powder made oil. It's spicy. There's no Scoville listed on the bottle or anything like that, but it's hot. It's not the hottest thing I've ever had. It's certainly hotter than any of the sauces that I've tried that are actual sauces. Usually things coming in a dropper are a sign of warning. So I'm going to try a spoonful, give it 2 minutes, see how we feel. Probably take a little break, and then do it again, but with relief after the initial taste. See if any of the theories behind these things actually hold true after that 2 minutes. And it's not going to be a good time, I'm sure. 1 dropper squeeze full, it's probably equivalent to what, 1/4 of a teaspoon. Whew. Very citrusy. The flavor's not that bad. It's very spicy. It's yeah, my tongue kind of straightened down. Didn't really wash through the whole mouth as much. Very oily, so it's going to be difficult to remove. Heat wise, yeah, it's pretty high up there. It's a 8 or 9 out of 10, which I realize is I think what I ranked the Reaper at, the garlic Reaper, but no, this is worse. This is a high 9. Very sharp burning in the back of the throat, and my lips are never going to be the same. And we're about 2 minutes in. The lips are still completely on fire. The mouth and throat have calmed down a little bit. Still very much lingering, and the back of the throat is still very, very sharp heat. But I've at least acclimated to the point that it is not the shock phase of this particular experience. I think for the 5 follow-on ones, we'll do slightly smaller portions, or my stomach will be in a lot of trouble, because that is very spicy. Oh, here goes the nose. Now, functionally, what's happening here is capsaicin lowers the threshold for which heat receptors think things are hot. So, rather than your mouth alarming you that 109 degrees Fahrenheit is too hot and burns and is painful, your own body temperature now becomes your undoing, and therefore everything is hot and painful. Exactly what temperature it drops that to, I don't know. Depends on the amount of capsaicin and how concentrated it is, I'm sure. All right, we're about 5 minutes in. We're going to try our first little bit of salvation here. Good old milk. Now, for me, not dairy milk. And there are conflicting opinions on if the enzymes in non-dairy milks work as well at breaking down and removing the capsaicin oil from your mouth. But theoretically, the fats and everything should still help. This in particular is oat milk. Still plenty of fat in it. Different enzymes in there, but let's see. As I said, we're going to do smaller portions because my stomach has plenty of its own problems, and I'm not going to agitate it too much. Still get a decent amount. So we'll see how the initial rating changes, and then kind of the 2 minute mark. I'd say by the 2 minutes, it was still probably a 7 to 8 experience. Here we go. Now, whenever you're trying to use a solution to mitigate the spice, whatever you're using is generally trying to break down the bond of the capsaicin oil to your mouth and the receptors. The capsaicin that's already bonded to the receptors and fired it, it's not going to immediately stop, even if you remove stimulus, but removing it keeps it from reactivating continuously as that oil sits on the receptor. That was night and day. And I realized I used a smaller quantity, but I could feel the initial kick off of the oil, and then very, very quickly dissipated. So, so probably still a 6, but that took the edge off considerably with oat milk. So that one, absolutely helpful. Now, lips still completely back on fire. Maybe if I blew bubbles in the milk first, but probably just going to spread it to more of your face doing that. Now, the thing you have to be careful with when doing something like this is desensitization. Because if you're having that much capsaicin that closely together, you are going to start feeling it less and less and less just by nature of repeated exposure. This is hot enough that you're still very much going to feel it, but something to take into account on the later runs. You should still be able to feel the difference between, when you first take the mouthful of this stuff, it might only read as a 7 instead of an 8 or 9, but you'll still be able to observe the difference after you take whatever mitigating substances you're trying to use. And there we are. That was so much easier. So much easier. We're going to move on to the next one. Now, same concept, but instead of using fats and enzymes to break down the oils that are binding the capsaicin to your mouth, we're going with acid. So citric acid should have virtually the same effect in terms of being able to remove that oil from the inside of your mouth, flush it down to your throat. You're still going to have it in your stomach. So if you're very sensitive to very spicy things, you just shouldn't be eating them anyway if they're going to cause you severe gastronomical issues. But some good old lemonade should also help us with the initial burn, at least. So I'll give it a little more time to root. I feel like that might have been a bit of a misplay on that first one. Here we go. I got a little cocky. It's like, let me make sure I get it all throughout my mouth. Success. All right, so already I'd say the initial feel is definitely closer to it's building, 7-ish. I think I just didn't give the last one time to build before using the milk. Very, very sharp. It's interesting how different spiciness hits you, but this is so sharp and clear relative to like a dull burn that you get from a lot of things. This is not working as well. So it is some level of relief, but I suspect, because it's in waves, it may just be the temperature of the liquid. Maybe I did not get acidic enough lemonade. No noticeable difference as soon as the lemonade leaves my mouth. So that heat threshold for pain activation drops, but by making your mouth cooler, you theoretically can get it back below a temperature that's going to activate those agitated or compromised TRPV1, the heat receptors that normally trigger at like 109. God, that was useless. Holy crap. Yeah, don't do lemonade. Whew. So I suspect that's what's happening, is you're getting a little relief from strictly the temperature. As soon as you swallow it, that relief is gone, and it's back full force. I'm still sitting at a 7. Still at probably a 5 at the end of the whole thing there. So if you're going to reach for something, I do not recommend lemonade, or by the same token, orange juice or something acidic that is theoretically going to clear those oils from your mouth. Certainly not over milk. We'll move on to the next one. Good old peanut butter. Now, this is its own fatty oil. It's more similar to the milk solution. It should, in theory, bind with the oils of the capsaicin. Take it with them as they go out of your mouth. This completely removes cool temperature relief. So this is a bit of an isolation of the factors. I don't have much faith, to be honest. I don't suspect this is going to end well for me. We'll see. God, I was going to say, give it a little minute to build. I don't know if we needed a minute. Here goes. Peanut butter. Also, maybe not the best choice if you're doing a show where you have to talk a lot. Just down a bunch of peanut butter. We're going to have a lot better than lemonade. Much, much better than lemonade. I suspect it's very, very similar in efficacy to the milk, just without the element of the temperature relief, which would be nice. So yeah, probably sitting at more of a 5 right now after peanut butter, but those poor lips, they're just taking a beating. For our next round, I'm going to get into some ethanol. Not pure ethanol. This is vodka. But ethanol, very good at breaking down oils and other things. Same exact concept. You're really just removing any of the lingering oils in your mouth and flushing them out with something that's going to break those bonds, binding them to the receptors on the inside of your mouth. Now, there's a counter argument to be had here in that ethanol itself is an agonist of the TRPV1 receptor. So the reason alcohol burns when you drink is for the same reason, at least in part. So it, just like the other agonists of TRPV1, makes your body think very briefly, because it doesn't linger because it's not an oil, that the temperature is much hotter than it actually is. Why would you use something that activates the same receptors to clear something that's burning that receptor at the moment? Well, I don't know if you've experienced the burn of drinking alcohol, but it is not a lingering, face melting, make your nose run, make you walk in circles, run in circles, jump up and down sort of experience, right? So if it's taking a needle prick so that someone stops hitting you with a sledgehammer, you're probably going to take the needle prick, right? If it's not something very spicy to begin with and you just have very, very low tolerance, I would not reach for this. But if you've just done a one chip challenge or eaten a whole Reaper or Pepper X or anything like that, and the option is get it off of your mouth using something that's going to very slightly activate the same receptors, yeah, just do that. There's light at the end of the tunnel. There's only one more round after this. Oh, I know that one's going to be bad. I slid the whole thing up my front lip. It is helpful that it's nice, refreshing little citrusy kick to it. And I will say, if you're just trying to spice food up without greatly change the flavor, capsaicin oils are great for that. Pepper oils, habanero oil, anything. Because they have a minimal impact to the flavor of the dish or whatever you're having it on, while dramatically increasing the level of heat. So yeah, my body's catching up with this. So initial impression, closer to a 6 to a 7. It transitions from one burn directly into the next. All of the mouth burn is very, very quickly dissipating. The throat burn, I'd say, was a little untouched by that. But say I'm back down to a comfortable 5-ish. But I would say that's probably not the first thing you should reach for over at least milk and peanut butter. Much more effective than the lemonade, but at a price. So if you have it, stick to the milk. You could even do like a rinse, a swish and spit with some sort of hard alcohol like that, and that would have the same effect without swallowing a whole mouthful of vodka. But already the mouth burn is pretty much dissipated. So effective. Again, you're taking one punch to remove the bigger punch. We're on to our last round, which is going to be a great relief because we're going to be enjoying some ice cream. Good old vanilla ice cream. Now, pretty much the identical reaction as the milk, with the added benefit of being colder. So I expect it's going to work just fine. Here goes. Yeah, my poor mouth is thrown in the towel. It's reading more like a 6 at this point. Yeah, instant relief from the temperature. Comes back a little bit once the ice cream leaves your mouth, but very similar to the milk in the immediate mitigation of the heat level. It's the most pleasant one. The milk was fine. I don't really like chugging lemonade to begin with. Peanut butter was a bit much. God, the vodka was painful. But, well, ice cream? That's the way to go. So if you do find yourself more spice than you can handle, or just trying to ease the pain after crushing a spicy challenge or anything like that, so the fatty-based options seem far more effective than the acid or ethanol, and far more enjoyable. Can't speak anymore. Far more enjoyable. So let me know if you found any creative solutions for how to cut the heat after having something spicy, or if these don't work for you or work for you better. Hope you enjoyed this content. I'll be munching on my ice cream and trying not to throw out pepper oil. If you did enjoy this content, please consider subscribing. I'll see you all next time.